On today's episode, I'm speaking with a beat maker, DJ, sample fiend, and electronic musician who goes by the name of Free the Robots. Now, until COVID, he was based in California and part of the pioneering generation of LA's beat scene. Free the Robots came to life after many bands, producing MCs and DJing. He played an integral part in the early years, which has led to collaborations running his venue, the Crosby, and sharing the stage with the likes of Fly Low, DJ Shadow, Prefuse, 73, and even Afrika Bambataa. Now, his latest release, DATU, and I'm going to quote what I found on his website. DATU is the name given of the ruling head of a clan or tribe during ancient pre-colonial times of the Philippines. Colonialization, cultural amnesia, and the reshaping of Philippine culture throughout generations have me and countless others almost completely disconnected from our roots, with no knowledge of what stories exist in the physical reality of the bloodline. The concept behind his album, my album, is my way of reconnecting with my ancestry in the spiritual realm of the creative flow state. That's the quote from Free the Robots. On today's episode, we're discussing letting go of the norm and simplifying your environments, cultural amnesia, and the use of spirituality in search of a creative flow state. Chris Alfaro, welcome. Free the Robots, welcome to Electronic Music, man. I'm chuffed you're able to make it, and considering where you are, it sounds like it's been a mission between communication, but thanks for making it, mate. Thank you.
Yo, thank you for having me, man. It's definitely a mission, but that's living on an island for you. Everything's kind of a mission.
So tell me, I mean, you were planning this trip to the Philippines, and then COVID hit. It wasn't like, oh, I got to get out. I'm going to go to the Philippines and escape. You were planning this trip, then COVID hit, and you're stuck there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Which island are you on?
Island called Siargao Island. It's in the Mindanao area, South Philippines.
Okay.
And man, I came here like 3 years ago, and decided to get in on some land and built a house out here. And it, granted, it was just right in time during this whole situation that the place was finished. So, I kind of have a place to stay and brought a little studio with me to keep me busy. And yeah, just been recording out here. Kind of got lucky in a weird way, man.
Yeah, we were just having a laugh about that. I think you did. Yeah. Like, I keep wondering, I keep saying to myself, I wish I could be stuck on an island somewhere right now. And lo and behold, you're living the dream.
I think so. Dream or whatever this whole situation is. It's like, I don't know. It's bringing in a lot of different types of emotions, and because
I bet
clearly, very much connected to what's happening back home, but at the same time over here, where I'm just disconnected at the same time. Yeah, I don't know.
It's interesting how the parallels with your latest album, and it's almost like some kind of fulfilling prophecy happened here. Like you wanting to, your album and the exploration DATU was to help you reconnect with your roots, and here you are. You're kind of being forced to do that.
Yeah. I don't know what forces really led me here during this time,
right?
But whatever happened, I'm here, and it's kind of wild because right when I got here was like the 2-year anniversary of me actually finishing the album, and I don't know. I'm just kind of taking it day by day. It's unexplainable what's happening actually.
Mm. And so I imagine there's like, as I mentioned, you're wanting to, like in this situation that I think we're all confronting sort of old stories and shadows and within ourselves, and some of us are aware or have developed sort of awareness towards that and are learning how to let go and let go of the norm.
Yeah.
And simplifying our environments. Now, I guess, has that been, an aspiration, like to find yourself? Because you said that you've been working on this development, a new home on this island for the last 3 years. Is that right?
Yeah.
And is that because you've wanted to create this new life anyway, to simplify environments and sort of disconnect from another reality, I guess?
I guess, I mean, it was kind of more of a whim, man. I guess my subconscious kind of pushed myself in that direction. But I actually, found this place on it was an unpaid gig that was available, that I was just like, I don't want a new experience, see what happens. And ended up falling in love with this place. And, started just like kind of shifting some of my energy towards, building an eventual life over here, even if it's, I didn't have any definition of what I wanted to do, but clearly I'm just here now, and I've pretty much become accustomed to the island lifestyle, like really completely disconnecting with what I was, myself in the city. It's kind of wild. It's a big change, man. It's like, it's a head trip to just like kind of be out here, really.
So, and you've been there, 3 months now, and
yeah.
Like, and you mentioned that you are being like, you're still sort of still connected with LA, and So how's that been? Like, how's that been to kind of be sort of looking from afar now and seeing LA and seeing your friends and being from a different place now to see it from there?
I mean, clearly there's a lot going on back home.
Yeah.
I'm so tightly knit with my friends back home and the music community and just, the whole city in general. And part of my soul has kind of disconnected from the lifestyle, but, it's like the friends and family and everybody that I miss back home. They're like on the front lines of the craziest shit to happen, like in forever.
Yeah.
And, between everything that's clearly going on, from the virus to the movement of all the exposure that everything that's happening in America, everything that's being exposed right now, and everything, and I'm kind of disconnected. I don't really have proper internet. I really have to go into town to get it. So I slide into town and I see, people's stories on social media and things kind of popping up. What is happening? Like, on one hand, I'm living this lifestyle over here that I've slowly built and am currently living on. But on the other side, I'm seeing whole new reality unfolding back home. And, it's something that I've always, staying back home, like a lot of things that are being dressed right now. I've been about it like since I was a young child, and it's good to see it come to light and people being a little bit more active about, change. But, there's everything is happening at once. So a lot of different emotions are exploding between, because you want to consider everyone's safety at the same time. And, this virus isn't really going away anytime soon. So, yeah, man. I like.
Yeah, well, I look, it's. I've pondered on the whole idea of like, if we didn't have internet and we didn't have, so I've thought about what about the communities that are away from the main happenings, like the people who are living on islands in different parts of the world that are not fully exposed to what's happening. It's like, and you kind of wonder, what if there was an internet, would the virus and be so in your face, and would it be so fearful? And like, it's kind of like the virus is kind of spreading because of social media. You know, like
I mean,
meaning the fear. You know, like I mean, the virus. We know the virus is real, and we know that people are. But like it's like intensified and it's amplified, and it just seems that living on an island right now just sounds so good.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's clearly a big problem in the Philippines in general. You know, Manila and Cebu are seeing numbers that are just rapidly growing, and they don't know, and no one knows what to do. We're in an island clearly, but it's not like we're completely immune to it over here. I mean, things can happen, you know.
Right. But what's the situation with travel? Like, are they allowing people to come to and from the island, or is the island is like a complete blocked off now, and they're not allowing travel?
From what I understand, it's blocked. I mean, at least for sure, the planes aren't coming in. There's planes going out to get people back home. You know, there's a lot of foreigners stuck here. Like, they've been stranded here from the get, and they have these sweeper flights to take people out. But from what I understand, there are still people coming in from the ports, from the local other islands and close mainlands, which is kind of scary, you know, because we've been like isolated here and honestly completely disconnected. We just kind of, you know, live in these small villages and surf. You know, it's been really, really peaceful. But yeah, I mean, there's always that kind of like, got to keep your mask on still. Still got to like maintain social distancing and yeah, as much as there hasn't been a case here, but you know, no one really knows.
Right. It's not like they're conducting tests there, are they? On the island?
No, there's no tests here, bro. No, man.
Yeah. And look, your album, DATU. Am I saying it right? That's the correct pronunciation. Yeah, cool. And you know, it seems like it's been part of like a shift in your life and a new awareness into sort of getting in touch with your roots and just getting in touch with spirituality and this, you know, just changing your lifestyle, it seems. And you've been on this path now for 3 years to kind of change. Is it all kind of all sort of encompassing, right? Like it's all part of this new sort of era for yourself.
Big time.
Yeah, tell me more about that. And what led you to this whole new sort of shift?
I mean, you had mentioned the Crosby. I had owned a restaurant, bar, music venue, you know, for about 8 years. And part of that, you know, I was kind of, when I was younger, I mean, I was 25 when I opened that place, you know, and it's as far as like the music community goes, that's where like one of the go-to spots aside from the Low End Theory and other spots here and there. Like, it was a huge undertaking to have as an artist to pull the trigger on such a intense business. And, you know, me and my partners, we were all young, didn't know what we were doing, but we got through it, you know, at least for that many years. And when that went down, I decided, shit, like I don't really have anything anymore. I mean, I have, you know, like I got my music and everything, but it was so much of my lifestyle to be going there every night, you know, booking this spot, while at the same time maintaining a music career, like touring and stuff. It was just an intense decade of my life. And once that went down, I was kind of open to anything. I started wandering, lived in Barcelona for a few months, kind of just kept on coming back and forth to Asia and just like, don't want to call it soul searching, but I was just kind of, in a way. In a sense.
Yeah. Figuring it out, man. Yeah.
Yeah, just figuring it out. I mean, like, you know, Free the Robots has kept me on the road for, you know, a decade plus. And I've used that as an opportunity to extend my time in these countries and, you know, learn other cultures and, you know, try to understand what it's like to live in another place. And yeah, man, it taught me a lot and ended up in the Philippines. And I realized I don't really know that much about my culture, and neither does a lot of people, because of history. Our history books have been kind of erased, like a lot of
for you too,
colonized
huh?
countries. Yeah, let's just say that's kind of been part of the main agenda. But exactly.
So
But
is
yeah,
that
I
where
mean,
is that where the whole idea of cultural amnesia? That's such a profound kind of term, that I want you, elaborate more on that. Is that where that came from? Because of some sort of history erase, or just the fact that just generally being numbed by so much other noise that we we do get cultural amnesia. Is that tell me more about that.
I mean, when I say cultural amnesia, I feel like, the Philippines have been colonized for over 400 years, and whatever happened during that time, I'm gonna guess that a lot of our history was erased from existence.
Wow.
And we became a culture that was based off of colonization. So I guess from my experiences going into Indonesia, places like Indonesia and Malaysia, and surrounding surrounding the Philippines, the islands and the lands around here, in a sense it's a different culture, but I feel like we should be more connected to how they were living. Like, if it wasn't for so much change through colonization, we would, be a little bit. We have a lot of similarities to them. I don't know how to actually articulate this.
No.
But and I just feel like the Philippines had such a unique situation where we're very much Spanish and American, but we kind of lost what being Filipino is like along the way. You know what I mean? And yeah, there's just amazing stories. I started, going in internet wormholes and started reading a lot of books about, art history and art in the arts, and like the different types of tribes, the different types of cultures, the different types of food, everything, because without like that connection to your past, you kind of, I don't know. I feel like understanding where you came from gives you a sense of pride, or I don't know, it empowers you in a way that, like, okay, that's in my bloodline, this is what existed. But I feel like it's not like a thing that most Filipinos really care about, is that the past that we have, what we have, these stories that we have. It's like it's based off of the colonial values, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, let's whiten our skin, or eat bad food. It's it's, I can kind of go on for a bit.
No, that's all right.
Yeah,
that's all right.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
all right. It's all right. Like, I mean, so is this what kind of inspired the DATU project? When you set out to do it, it put you on a mission to kind of connect some dots, to learn more about it, more about your past, where you came from, and and tell that, and be able to tell that story as well.
Exactly. Like, it's more so, okay, see, these are sounds that were created by Filipinos before me, and I'm part of the diaspora of, I'm a Filipino American, completely disconnected. But I feel like what they created and somehow recorded, I wanted to connect the dots for me as being part of the diaspora, in a modern way of making music. It's kind of my my jam session with them, I'd say. Like, just my contribution, because we all, I'm a hip hop head at heart, and we come to sample jazz music and all that, and psychedelic music, and I just figured take the same format and go back to my roots and see what I could do with it. You know, and yeah, it came out. DATU came out, and I'm happy with the results. Yeah, and I'm it's starting. It's getting attention, and starting to turn heads in the Philippines as well, because it's like, what is this album, and who's like, why is this album?
Yeah.
I guess it's you just I don't know. I just, there's really no reason other than that. I've just felt a little bit more connected to my culture more recently, and wanted to put it on record.
Well, it's look. It seems like it's set a lot of different kind of trajectories for you. Like it just kind of like started off these whole like it's kind of in parallel with who you evolved into now and where you are in your life right now. Like
exactly.
It's kind of like and so in one way, this is like what actually occurred, and what the kind of things that you wanted to achieve from it. Tell me a bit about like the creative flow state that you talk about here, and is that because did you find that like if you're setting out to achieve to try to find like through this process, this would help your creative flow state, or like, is that what was the intention there?
Well, so since for DATU, I was focusing more on indigenous music, which is not really like me as a modern producer from hip hop. There's an end goal to this. Like you put it out, you get an audience, and you could make a living off of it, whatever. But the indigenous, I feel like they were creating from more of a spiritual level. So with tribes, it was just simple rhythms and whatever they had, and it wasn't like there was nothing really affecting them in terms of recording it or gaining like. It's just the original way of making music. The tribes would communicate, they would entertain, and it would just be a session, really. And that flow, like that's, if you notice with the DATU album, we really didn't go anywhere. There would be a rhythm, and then sometimes there'd be a change, but then for the most part, it was just, it's not like pop music where there's like verses and choruses. It was just like, just go and see
almost like a stream of consciousness,
Exactly.
Yeah, but through sound.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Which is where I feel like the indigenous connected. That I was listening to their jams on the kulintang gongs and stuff, which is an instrument that I sampled, also was used very much in the Philippines and this whole region. And it was, and I would see videos of it, and there it was just their flow. It wasn't about creating a song. It was just that moment, and that's where I wanted to go with this album.
Right. And did you find yourself, through the production process and actually through the creating the music for this record, did you find yourself sort of feeling sort of spiritual through the process? And did you find yourself like some kind of elevation, some like awareness and consciousness, did you get that kind of experience?
I did. I mean, I get that kind of experience with whatever I'm working on. But this one was different. I mean, I literally had nothing with me. I had like a keyboard, an iPhone where I would record stuff, and like, my computer broke like Reason. And I was I rented this really crusty house next to the beach. And it was more my environment that I was pulling from and just like my situation. I had just gotten injured, actually. I got in a motorbike accident and I was like sitting there. I mean, the whole situation was as limited and as rough as it could possibly be. I didn't really talk about this with anybody, but like my shoulder was screwed up. I was getting like infected cuts and I'm in the middle of the jungle. So I was just getting more infected. I couldn't move. I like had to do everything pretty much with like one hand. But I think with so many limitations, it kind of, it sparks another side of your brain in the creative process. It's like you can sit there with the most amazing studio and you're comfortable, but I don't feel like comfort breeds the most creative states. This was the most uncomfortable I could possibly be recording. And that's that's the story of how I made DATU.
Wow. Yeah. And what about is making music your meditation, or do you actually practice some form of meditation as well, or would you find like in this process is it as a meditative state for you?
Extremely meditative, but I have many meditative states. Music, you definitely zone in. I mean, actually my last EP that I actually did in COVID is called Malinaw EP that was also made on this island. I did it like 2 months ago. That is it. The whole flow, you could hear it through that album too. Just like, I don't know. I mean, I'm really affected by my environments and it has to change if I want to change my sound. And that's kind of why I've been kind of moving around a lot, working on stuff. But other than music as a meditative like state, I definitely meditate as in actually meditate and, try to live as healthy as possible. Out here, it's a surf island. Surfing is quite possibly the most meditative state that you could be in, but also intense. I'm just really zenning out, detoxifying myself, really.
Fantastic.
Especially on an island. Yeah.
So when can we expect to hear the music that you've been making during COVID? And you said you did this EP. Is this the only stuff that you've done, or you got something else happening as well?
I mean, there's a couple of things that I recorded during COVID. So there's a Malinaw EP, which is out now, and then there was a single Aswang, which is also what I did here. But the one that's actually releasing, that's on the way, is the album that I was working on prior to even leaving to the Philippines this time. Right. Which is a full album. And I dropped the first single last week, Welcome to Los Angeles. A little different sound, clearly, from the COVID sessions. But, that's when I was in the city. It's a lot more collaborations on this album. But, yeah, there's a lot of music going to be coming out soon.
Yeah. Like you started, like I see that your early part of your career was it around early 2000s? You would have been a teenager then, if I'm correct. Yeah. So that would have been, I guess the early stages of the LA beat scene, and you were kind of like quite involved in that sort of early days.
I mean, the early days, it was LA and the scene in general of just Southern California and the West Coast was just kind of ready for something new. There was a time like hip hop kind of it was starting to experiment a little bit more, but then and then a lot of things were happening. Like the rave thing was starting to really pop off, and the punk scene was, doing different things, and I feel like it was just like ready to boil over. Throughout the city, there's so much diversity, and I think when I guess we just needed a place for all the weirdos of the city to come together. And that, for me, I mean, there's things here and there. There was a, sketchbook and like, Project Load and things that were open to things to different types of music and just all around LA progress. And then for me, like personally, the Low End Theory is what really became the home. That
for a lot of you,
that got attention, yeah, and it happened pretty instantly. I think, I don't know, within the first year, it just kind of exploded.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, everyone was just ready for something new and something that they could call theirs. The first time ever LA had its own sound, because before this, it wasn't LA's electronic sound. LA's had its own sound for many different genres, but as far as electronic music, all the London, Chicago, Detroit, New York, they had the techno, the house, the drum and bass, everything was just popping everywhere. And with the beats and like our version of instrumental hip hop, it became a sound that was pretty much defined by Los Angeles.
Yeah, I mean, there's because you when you think about it, you don't really see like other than the beats, the beat scene. Who's now you're hearing more housey sounds, more techno sounds coming out from LA.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. I guess this is all sort of part of that evolution. I mean, when I always think of LA, I just think of funk and G funk and which is still
love that.
Which is still very, very much part of the tapestry in the background of a lot of sounds. Like that kid Channel Trez. I love what he's doing.
Great, amazing.
He's like combining,
he's doing funk, house, and hip hop.
Yeah, and he's from Compton. It's just like wow.
Man.
I was just like, this guy's like combining this sort of G funk with Moody Man kind of house, Detroit kind of house. I'm just like, whoa. And even his rhymes and his voices. Yeah, personally, I'm loving what's actually been coming out of LA for the last few years. Find it really exciting.
Oh yeah. It's definitely been evolving in a lot of ways. I mean, I'm just talking about LA beats as in, the era of 2006 to like 2015-ish, maybe beyond. But there's if you really like go through the city and go through the different like warehouse parties and after hours and stuff that's happening everywhere, there's something for everyone, and I'm loving that. I'm loving the house and the new techno and Latin music that's going on, and people just taking it there.
Yeah, it's definitely definitely grown. But the beat scene, you could say, was very much you could say had a big influence on that on the foundations of this whole new sort of culture, electronic music culture. That's how from someone who lives away from LA and seeing from within, that's how I see it, like looking from afar, and seeing that.
I guess the format, it's just the beats evolved when studios became accessible, basically. Yeah. And the idea of being an electronic musician in different, playing with different genres, it became possible for anybody. And we have social media, and you could have an instant audience and really spread that way. And there's tons of spaces that open up their doors with open arms for people to play. It's just, that's the thing too. It's the city, and it's the music venue owners that are just, there's a heartbeat there. and it allows for music to evolve. Sure.
Mm.
A lot of collaborative. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Just mainly a lot of collaborative energy. It's also, there's no like beef between neighborhoods. You know what I mean? You could be from anywhere. You could be from, South Central to Pasadena to Highland Park. You're going to the same venues. You are all friends. Everyone, there's no separation there really. It's all about music.
Well, that's
it's all
great.
about, I mean, which hasn't, in the 90s and stuff, there was a heavy separation between neighborhoods.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And, to be quite honest, racial separations, which was just like, it's kind of wild to think because that's not really a thing anymore. It's very unified, in this new era. Everyone's just like about being, I don't know, everyone's down with being different and being open-minded. And that helps with music and culture in general to evolve.
So why do you think now, like, I mean, the state of, I guess that is a smaller sort of section of the states we're talking about here. When you look at the rest of the US right now, and that I mean, and it's not even just the US. I mean, you will find a unification through music, and yet when you look at outside of the world of music, then you just think, how can there be so much separation still today? And we're still dealing with all these issues. I mean, I guess it's like things that have been sort of kept under the carpet. And now that's why things are popping off right now, because it's like things that just the unspoken stuff is all sort of like, all right, it's time we address this stuff now.
Exactly. It boggles my mind that this has to, like, it's 2020, yo. Like, what? But, we're also in LA where, our frame of society is very multicultural, and we are each other's, like, we live by each other. We share, I don't know. I mean, and then there are the other states where, like, damn, I mean, completely, you just manipulated by this system somehow just creates this like racist ideals. I'm just like, what? But I mean, at least there's movement now. It's just it's crazy to see I mean, even now there's like some fireworks thing that's happening, which is like people are all suspect about. Where I don't know. I don't really get that much news because I don't have the internet as much. But every time I do, I see something new. And it just boggles my mind that. But
LA, it seems like LA really represented though. Like even from a Parliament, like down, like they kind of took matters into their own hands, and then the people of LA kind of really stepped up.
I mean, it's been like that recent years for sure. Yeah, man, just taking the power back. That's once again, this is my whole thing with education, with culture. Once you know the things that have been kind of suppressed by this system, this like, you're able to take your power back, basically.
Yeah.
You understand this history. You start learning what happened, what the Black Panthers were doing. And you learn about what happened to them and certain names, certain things that were kind of covered up. And you're like, no, this is, and you get makes you move a little bit. Makes you move a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So look, I had this thought just now, like, and it's escaped me again. It was about, I was, thinking about how, tell me about Wild Animals, the radio show. And
which one? Oh, Wild Animals.
How are you doing? How are you how are you doing conducting the shows now from Mild Animal, from where you are in the Philippines now? How are you? Are you still?
Yeah. I mean, there's always challenges. But I do DJ on this island. There are parties that we do. There's a couple of. Yeah. I mean, not right now because parties they're just not happening. But usually I play at some friends' resorts and bars, just like on the side, and we play fun music out here. And there are controllers. Unfortunately, there's no turntables, but we're able to get use a room in a resort and record whatever sessions we want for DJing. I've been putting a lot of mixes out, and I'm still able to do Mild Animals from here. I just have to work around. I got to go into town, do my session, and then I got to find another place with good enough internet to send my pre-record over to my partner Phil, and we're able to work.
So are you sort of like splitting the
show? There's ways to.
You're splitting the show up between you with, like you're saying, you're doing the pre-recorded, and you've got the little studio set up there, so you're able to bang out some shows as well.
Yeah. I'm able to still do within limitations what I was doing back home in LA. But yeah, it's still always a mission. And you also got to deal with weather and just timing. Like there's always like blackouts that happen here, like right. Every week at least. So I don't know.
How long's it been? How long have you been with NTS? Like doing the show there?
NTS, I think we've been doing the show for like 3 years, I think.
Oh, yeah, cool.
I want to say it's been a while. I actually don't know. 3 years, I'd say a little bit over 3 years.
All right, right on.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just like an outlet for me and my buddy. We're both into like all sorts of different music, and we collect all sorts of different music. We have a bunch of friends in the scene, so and it's not always about DJs and musicians that we feature. Sometimes we feature visual artists or people who just are into good music in general.
Yeah, great. Well, do you want to tell the listeners where we can find more about Free the Robots? Like what links? I've got a few here that I'm going to list. But yeah, where's the best place for people to find you and hear, and also the new album? When is that? When are you expected to get that out as well?
I want to get the album out this year. I mean, it's not like I'm hoping for like August, September, maybe. But yeah, there's no real format anymore because I feel like the music industry kind of not shut down, but things are kind of just changing a bit. So I'm kind of just going to straight up do this independently, DIY styles like I used to do when I was a kid doing Free the Robots back in the day. Kind of winging it in a way, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah, but as far as links go, Instagram, maybe Facebook, Free the Robots, Mild Animals for sure. Mild Animals, if you type that on NTS. And yeah, I mean, Google Free the Robots. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Chris Alfaro, Free the Robots, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks again for taking the time and making this work, with considering where you are. And it was definitely a great way to learn about what's happening where you are at the moment as well, and get an insight to your inspirations around your music and what you've been up to. Thank you again for being here, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. It's been a pleasure, man.